Hello and welcome. I'm going to show you how to make this Chinese New Year rabbit because this year is the year of the rabbit and it's not an easy animal to draw, to be honest, unless you want to go huge cute, in which case, everything looks the same, big eyes, round head. But if you want to make a rabbit that's a little more edgy, this is the one you want. And this is a rabbit that I've started off so far, okay? And I've made a template for it that I use a scan and cut to cut out. And then I can use this template to trace around all the pieces of the rabbit and I can make it really, really easily. So here we go. My neighbors upstairs are doing some kind of construction. I'm not sure what. Okay, so I'm gonna leave this on the table here. You're gonna need a few more things. Template, pencil. I like to use this kind of pencil for when I'm tracing around things that require a lot of precision. You're probably gonna want some scissors. Well, you're going to want some scissors and an eraser. I have a cutting knife as well, just in case I get tired of using scissors. Some of them I think are faster than others. Oh, we're also gonna need some glue. Let me just grab that from behind me. Gonna need some glue. Okay, now you can use white glue or a glue stick if you want, it's up to you. Now I've got a bunch of pieces of paper. I've got some magazine pieces. This one is actually a red piece that I've put brown paint onto. I've got a bit of regular old brown, some other magazine pieces. I'm going for this kind of browny color. Actually, that's a really good one to start with, except that I put holes in it. Oh well. Another one. Ooh, that's a nice one. It's kind of a nifty textures on it, right? And I've got this one here, which I think I'm gonna try making the start of the body with. So the first thing we're going to do is to take this template and we're going to use one of the shapes to start with. And the shape that we're gonna use is this sort of jelly bean shape here. That is the body shape. And so I'm going to try and get as much sort of body shape as I can out of this. And I'm going to contrast that with some of this gray area here around the outside of the magazine. So I've got my pencil. The reason I like a sharp one for this is because it allows me to go in here like this. There we are. And that just allows me to cut that and draw it around. Can I see that very well? Not very well. I should probably do it a little bit heavier. Now, if you make any mistakes or anything like that, because you're using pencil, you can just erase it. So it's easy enough. There. Make it nice and hard so that I can see around it a little bit better. Oh yeah, that's much better. I can see that now. All right, you can use pen or marker as well. You just have to be more careful to cut around the outside parts with that. Now let's see, I've got the front leg here, which I'm gonna try and get out of this gold colored piece as well, but I don't mind if the foot comes off so that the body's all kind of a consistent color. I like using magazine and found pieces of paper, although it's fun to make with plain paper as well. The magazine pieces, they give it another edge to it and something that, you'll never be able to replicate again, which I really like. I like the idea of not being able to replicate things. Okay, so that was the leg, the back leg, and this is the front leg here. So I'm gonna get that one off of here, I think. Yeah. Put a chain on it. I really don't know what my neighbors are doing upstairs today. Jumping around. Okay, let's see. Then I have the tail, which I'm going to leave in just a dark gray here. And actually, do you know what? I don't think I am going to use that in dark gray. I think I'm going to go off-piste here a little bit, and I'm going to use the tail and give him a little cotton tail. There we are. Yeah, I like that. And I'm going to actually give this a cut here so that I don't forget that it's on there. This is something I do frequently. He's also got a little chest piece. I put this one on specifically because it gives it a little bit more oomph right on the chest area and separates the head from the neck. So I guess this is the least necessary part, but I still think it's important and nice. Okay, so I've got the legs and the body off of this, and I'm actually going to cut the head out of this as well, just for some consistency. I managed to put holes in it again, so I'm going to cut it out here. Not sure how this one's going to turn out. It might be quite a wild looking rabbit, but I think it'll be okay. All right. And I'm going to go through and actually cut these pieces out too, just around it, so that there's lots of space. And I can see where things are. I've done this a few times before where I've gone to cut it out and then I've realized I've drawn it over top of something else, which isn't great. I mean, you know, it's not the end of the world. I just try again, but it's still a bit annoying. Cut this one out. You'll notice that I'm not cutting very precisely around the lines at the moment because I will cut those out a little bit more carefully later on. But right now I'm not interested in the careful cutting out. I'm only interested in just the general idea. Let's see. I think I want, okay, so I've got this piece is the head. But then there's this nose part here. And I think I want the nose part to have a bit of this chain on it somehow. That looks pretty good. That's a bit of fun. Oh, yeah. There we go. Chain part for the nose. Okay. And I had this part on the, okay, so I've got the nose is a bit more plain. And I've got this part which is, I guess the cheeks a bit, the mouth, the part on the rabbit that's just in the front there. It's not very self-explanatory, it's just in the front there. Is poofy cheek nose bit. It's not the nose, I guess it's the cheeks, kind of. Right around the mouth area anyways. So I'm gonna make that one really plain because that contrast on the face is quite nice. And then I want something for the nose. I want something a bit exciting for the nose. Maybe, oh, here's a good pink. Let's give him a pink nose. One thing that the Hong Kong government, or rather the Hong Kong arts sector and the Leisure and Cultural Services Department are actually good at is making really nice brochures. The printing is quite good. It's nice to play with and they're really nice textures. Okay, now I have some ears. And again, I'm gonna go for very plain ears. And the ears are together, but if you don't have enough room, you can always cut them apart because you actually glue over top of that bottom part there. So it's not necessary for them to all be one giant piece if you don't want them like that. Or if you want to change them as you're working on them, you can do that too. They don't have to be one piece. I like to change things up a bit. And here is the inside of the ears. I'm gonna go for this pink again. I'm going to make sure that this time it's got some writing on it. I like it when it has a bit of, I find it a bit intriguing to have some writing on it sometimes. It's kind of fun, right? Like the rabbit has just stepped out of the magazine, but he's made of the magazine. These are the kinds of things I think of when I'm doing artwork. Okay, have I got everything? I'm sure I haven't. No, I don't have the eyes yet, but I'm actually going to, yeah, I'm gonna cut the eyes out now just for the sake of consistency. Okay. I like to just have white for the largest part of the eyes. The eyes are quite complex in here because they're my favorite part to make. And because I've done this before, I'm going to cut the eye out. I'm going to fold this piece over and cut the eye out only once because I know that it's exactly the same. So I've got two eyes out of there once I cut it. Let's see. Now is the iris. And I think I want them to have, what else do I have on here? Let's see. Maybe I could have a, ooh. If I give them a red iris, they're probably going to look very scary. A little demonic rabbit, right? Not that I'm opposed to demonic rabbits, but maybe not for New Year's. It's supposed to be lucky and all that stuff. Let's see. Orange is almost as bad, isn't it? But I think I can get some out of this piece here. It's a really neat artist. I went to see this exhibition. It was pretty cool. Now, it doesn't really matter on there as much where I'm going to put this. So again, I'm going to give it a circle, fold it over first, and that way I only have to cut one. And the last one is a black one, but I am going to leave that too. Am I going to leave it? I keep changing my mind. I'm going to leave that. No, I'm not. Am I going to? I don't know. I'm going to cut this black piece right out here. And cut it out of this one. I keep telling myself, I'll do that one later. That's why I'm so indecisive. I'll do that one later. Then I remember that I have a tendency to forget, and then I'm stuck with forgetting. Okay, in comes the scissors. And the scissors, I'm going to cut all the pieces out. Again, I've used pencil. It makes it a little bit more difficult to see, but it also makes it so that I can erase it if I just go around the edges. So I just cut that one out. I take my eraser and I give it a little bit of an erase. Now, if you're not used to cutting or scissors, or you're more used to a cutting knife, you can use a cutting knife as well. But when you're using scissors, I do a lot of cutting, obviously, in my art practice. And when you're using scissors, the best way of using them is to actually turn your paper as you're cutting rather than your scissors. Because what happens if you turn your scissors when you're cutting is, you know, your arm gets heavy on one side, it maybe pulls, or whatever it is that you're doing, it's a little bit more difficult. And always cut out your pieces like this before you start cutting. Because if I've got a giant piece of paper, if I'm even just cutting out monochromatic and I've got a giant piece of paper, it's a lot harder to cut, right? It's a lot harder to cut because I've got a lot of paper flapping around, I don't have very much control, and the materials are here to work for you, not the other way around. And when I come to the edge of the ear like this, I'm going to just chop it off, even though I'm going to go back and do it right here. And this part's really hard for me because I'm right-handed. I'm cutting in this direction, bit awkward. So I'll cut that way, and then I'll come back and I'll cut in this direction. These are the two ears here. And this direction is much, much easier for me to cut. Now I know this little piece at the bottom here is going to be hidden, so I'm not too worried about getting that absolutely perfect. I am going to go along it with my eraser and just erase those outside edges. Perfect. And oh, it's turned into really silvery ears, hasn't it? I mean, it kind of looked like a boring background to start with, but the silvery color, the gray, is turned really silvery looking, I think. Okay, this stuff I get rid of. It's my studio, I can throw things on the floor if I want. Okay, so there you have the ears, and I might as well put those together right now because that'll save me losing these little guys right here, right? I mean, nothing worse than you've gone to make them and then you found out that you've lost the inside of the ears because you weren't paying attention, or they got shoved into a corner or something like that. So there we are. There. Okay, there's my ears ready to go. Excellent. The next part I'm going to build is the body. Well, let's see. This one is hard to see for me, but it's a pretty easy shape to cut too. So all is forgiven, right? Again, I'm turning my paper as I go and I'm making small cuts. And sometimes those cuts end up in a little hard corner there. I can just go back and give those a little trim off there. I think I made his butt too big. I think that was the original one. There we go. One thing I didn't do before I turned the video on was change into my reading glasses, which makes it a lot easier to see up close. Okay, there we go. So there's the body. And here is the head. Again, you can see me turning that paper. It's going nice and slow. These scissors are wonderfully sharp. I really like them. Here's the back leg. This head up here, so don't forget where it is. Here's the back leg. Now I'm holding this on a bit of an angle as well, because that's the angle in which I can see the pencil marks more clearly. I do have a 4B pencil lead in my pencil, so it's nice and soft and it makes a really good line. But again, you could use a little marker for this. Sometimes the lines around it can also be a feature, which is useful. Okay, just a quick erase around there, anywhere I can see a bit of the shine of the graphite. And you might think this needs to go this way. Oh no, I've done it the wrong way around. But actually, I've made it so that the rabbit, because the rabbit's chest is up here. And the chest is actually the bigger part. Down by the hips, they're actually narrower. So the chest is up at the top. So you haven't done it backwards. It's the way it's designed. Give this leg a little cut. Again, I want to get rid of that because it's really big and floppy and it's getting in my way. And the tools are working for me, not me working for the tools. Paper's not going to be upset if I, throw it to one side. Here is that little ruff around its neck. That gives you that little space in between the head and the body. It's just a nice way of putting it together. There we go. And trim that off a little bit. And I like to actually make a few little marks in here to give him a bit of fur. Or her a bit of fur. I like the texture that you can get with paper that way. It just gives it a little bit of extra, right? Which is kind of neat. I can't do the other side as easily because I want to kind of curve it in. So I just turn it over and do it from the other side. Always think about what hand you're using, how you're using it, how the tools can work for you, how it's easiest to make each of the pieces. Okay, here's its tail. And I'm going to erase a little bit around there. And I'm actually going to cut a little bit of fur into that one too, just because I can. Just because I can. There we go, looking good. When I'm erasing, especially with very small pieces, it's a really good idea to hold things firmly and then push outwards. If I try and push in, I often end up curling up that paper and getting it all caught inside, and that's, that can distort it and you can get fold lines on it and it's not as nice then. So here's the sort of nose bridge and forehead. I guess we'll call this the forehead. How about that? Not like you can disagree with me because this is a video and not interactive. You can say what I want. Oh yes, it's good that you all agree. See? Dun, 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 dun. Okay. There's the nose bridge. I like that contrast in there. Okay, and the nose. And I'm going to put this body together before I get started on these small pieces because they have a tendency of getting in the way. Get rid of all those. And let's see. This leg didn't turn out quite as nice as I wanted it to because I want it to be a bit more different. But a bit of camouflage on your rabbit is not so bad either. I just want to make sure that those line up. Nothing special, nothing too difficult. Let's see. I have nice lines on my mat here, so it's easier for me to see if it lines up. But it doesn't really hugely matter if it doesn't. There we go. The tail. And should I put that neck ruff on now, or should I wait just a moment? No, I'll put it on now. Which side do I like better? I like that side, the other side better. There we go. There's a little bit of pencil right there. I just want to get rid of. Okay, so the body's ready and the ears are ready. All we need is the head. And the head obviously has a lot of small pieces. I don't want to glue those pieces on just yet, nor do I want to glue this piece on just yet, because the first thing to do with the head is the eyeballs. The eyeballs are the most difficult part because they're the smallest, but they also give it all the expression that it needs. There we go. Which is kind of nifty. Okay. And there's the nose, which is the last piece that I put on, so I'm not very concerned about getting that one right away. Ah, great. Okay. So again, slowly cut with the eyes. And you'll find that these eyeballs are really big and round. Now, I get rather annoyed at all the cute things that are done because animals aren't always cute. And I don't know, I just get tired of cute. We have cute everywhere. Like everything's supposed to be adorable. Everything's supposed to be, I don't know, special and different and cute and blah, blah, blah. So I actually have, this rabbit is quite edgy. Quite annoyed, right? It's like the annoyed rabbit. And I like that. I always want to make my animals look slightly more realistic, slightly more like they could really be alive. They could really be real. Okay. Here's the deal with the eyeballs. The eyeballs are actually made just in a slightly different way than you would assume. You'd assume that you put that right in the center, right? But you don't. You actually put the eye, this is the iris, so the colored part of the eye, and you actually put it right down at the bottom, okay? Right down at the bottom, touching the edge of the line. Otherwise, the rabbit does look extremely wild. We want them to look wary and like they're going to escape very easily, because you're the rabbit, I don't know, you get a lot of like, oh, rabbits are nice and gentle and blah, 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 blah. But, you know, rabbits are wild animals and they're fierce and they might look gentle, but if you tried to pick one up, it'd probably claw you. And I don't know, I get a bit tired of the rabbits are somehow benign. I want my rabbit to be a bit more fierce. Rabbit year is actually my year as well, and I get tired of being told, oh, rabbits are calm and gentle and blah, blah, blah. So I reject the calm and gentle rabbit, and I present to you the mildly disturbed rabbit. Also, this year is supposed to be a bad year for rabbits, and so me being a rabbit, it's not really dark enough. Oh, I've got it on the wrong side, that's why. Me being a rabbit, I don't want to be gentle. I don't want to be careful. I don't want to be, you know, I don't want to suffer my fate without a fight. So, year of the rabbit, unlucky for rabbits, well then my rabbit is going to be ferocious and ready for unluckiness. It's going to be strong and just ready to go. Okay, so there's my rabbit. Now, the eyes, the reason you put them down at the edge there is because you don't want the eyes to be a giant googly eye, a bit like this, right? A bit like Monsters Incorporated or any Disney character. You don't want giant googly eyes. You want the eyes to kind of be a bit hooded, a bit dangerous. Dangerous rabbit, you think. Not really very realistic, but I don't know. I think rabbits can be very dangerous. Ask anybody from Australia, you know. Okay, and then I put them on like that, and that's why we put the iris right down near the bottom. Now, be careful you don't get them too wildly spaced apart, because then it starts to look a bit wall-eyed, but that's not bad. The more you get the eyes right, the better the rabbit will be. Oh, I like him. Just a little bit evil. Yeah, you say I'm gonna have a bad year, just you wait. You ain't seen nothing yet. Carpe diem. This is a very carpe diem rabbit. This is a very seize the day rabbit. Don't just wait for things to happen to you. Go out, grab them by the throat. Whew. I'm getting very militant here with my rabbits. But you know, it's the gentle, nice, everybody's no. Okay, and then that cheek part goes right in there like that. And I like that gray. Because I've used the same magazine page, the good thing is I know everything's gonna work together and match because the hard work's already been done for me, right? I know that gray is gonna go with the gold, and I know that everything's gonna match together because the person who did the magazine has already done it for me. There we go. Now, usually I use white glue for this, but it's harder to do with the demonstration because I need a toothpick then, and you know, things like that. So I'm using my glue stick as like a good person to show you what I'm doing. But I find the glue stick, I get it all over my fingers so easily. You see kids all the time working with glue sticks. I guess they're just sticky. That's fine. Oh, I like that. I like the line in between the eyes there. It's kind of fabulous. Okay, so some glue on the back of there. Stick them on. And some glue on the back of there. Stick them on. Oh yeah. Now it depends on, if I put the rabbit's head up here, it looks very alert. But if I put it down here, it looks a bit more menacing. Somewhere in the middle, I think. And a little bit of a tilt. Yeah, just a little bit of a tilt there. I like those eyes. They worked out really well. Okay. Now you'll see that I'm missing whiskers still. So that's the only thing that I don't have in the template. I didn't bother with whiskers because they're just long, thin lines. So I've got some white here, and all I do is cut a long, thin piece. And I'm gonna make 6 of those, or 3 and cut them in half. I don't know, is that too long? Yeah, it's very long, isn't it? Whew. That's a bit too long. Okay, so I can cut these ones in half. Okay, it took me a long time to find this rabbit shape actually. I was going for, I tried cute, I tried really fuzzy. I wasn't feeling it. Last couple of years have not been cute, fuzzy years. I'm not ready for a cute, fuzzy rabbit. That one's a little bit too wide for me. There, that's better. Not ready for a cute, fuzzy rabbit. I'm ready for a fierce rabbit. Wouldn't go as far as to say necessarily an angry rabbit, but a rabbit that's not taken any stuff. This is the kind of rabbit I feel I need this year. And if you want to make more whiskers or less whiskers, I mean, that's completely up to you. You're the one doing it this time. Okay. There. Goo on my, I've got some goo on my glue. There we go. And there you have it. A beautiful New Year's rabbit. Now, if you want to go full, you know, New Year's Eve, or you want to mount it and put it on something, you could try, you know, a piece of paper that you, oh, one of my whiskers fell off. Whoops. Lost a whisker. There we go. So you can mount it on top of a piece of plain paper like this, or you might want to try, I've got some papers that I painted on before. You can try something like that and make them really wild. Or you could even, once again, use a piece of magazine. I've got this lovely magazine with this foot on it. It's very, very noticeable foot, but I could put them on here. It almost blends into the background there. Or I could try again with this text, which is so much fun, I think. And if you put the text upside down, it kind of means that you don't read it as much. Instead, you look at it as a form instead. So yeah, you can do something like that. I know, it's up to you. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you enjoy making your own rabbits. Take care.